Okay, we are going to do problem AP6 from chapter 10, and this is about self-employment taxes. So we have Mrs. Singer owns a profitable sole proprietorship. For each of the following cases, use the schedule SC Form 1040 Computer 2010 self-employment tax and her income tax deduction for the tax. You have the link. I've created a link on Moodle, but also if you're looking at this outside of Moodle, you can go to the irs.gov site, or you can just do a Google search for Form SE, self-employment tax, and it'll give you this Adobe fill-in-the-blank form that you can save or you can print, and works pretty slick. So in our first case, number A, Mrs. Singer's net profit from the schedule was $51,458, and she had no other earned income. So in this case, we can use, because there's no other earned income, we can use the short form. So on line 2, we're going to enter our net profit, which is $51,458. And we would add any above lines, which we don't have any, so we stick at $51,458. Next, we need to multiply our amount times 0.9235. Okay, so that's giving us a little base deduction for our self-employment tax. So this is not a Excel form, so you have to do the calculation on the side. So we take 51,458 times 0.9235, and we get 47,521. We take that amount times, okay, so times our 15.3%, and we come out with a tax of 7,271. So that will be our self-employment tax. It's going to go on our Schedule 10 or our 1040 form. We then we get a deduction for that, which is an above the line for it's 1/2 of the self-employment tax. So remember, that's basically paying, giving us a deduction for the business expense. So 7,271 times 50%, rounded up, gives us 3,636. So that is what our taxes are. So our self-employment tax in case A is 7,271, and our income tax deduction is 3,636. Okay, next we're going to look at Part B, which says Mrs. Singer's net profit from Schedule C was $51,458. Only this time she also received a $70,000 salary from an employer. So we're going to have to use the long schedule, so Section B of Form SE, and works much the same. So we're going to start off the questions in Part 1 did not apply to us at this point. So Part 2, our profit from our business, which is $51,458, and that's going to carry over to our next line. We do the same thing that we did last time, so we're going to take that times 0.9235, which gives us 47,521. Okay, now here's where it gets a little different. We want to go down here, and we're going to add those two lines. Part B doesn't affect us, so we are at 47,521. You notice here, next we go down to, we're not a church employee, so we skip that part, so 47,521. That's kind of one of the joys of doing these forms. You have to enter the same number multiple times, but hey, it's a government form. Okay, so notice here we have our 106.8, which is our maximum for the tax year 2010. That's the form I have right now. So then on here, total Social Security wages and tips. So in our case here, it's 70,000. Okay, so at that point, we're going to carry that amount down to D. We don't have any reported tips or anything like that. On line 9, we are going to subtract this from line 7. So our 70,000 from 106 gives us 36,900, which is going to be subject to our tax, to our full Social Security Medicare tax. 10, we are going to multiply the smaller of line 6 or line 9 by 12.46. Well, it's going to be our line 9, our 36.9. So that is going to be $4,563. Okay. Also notice we are going to take the line 6, or our 47,521, times 0.29. That is because the Medicare tax does not stop at the cap of 106. So 1378 is going to be that tax. Again, that's our 47,521 times 0.029. Our total self-employment tax, we add our 4,563, which is our 70,000 times 0.124, and our 47,621 times 0.29. So we add our 4563 and our 1378, and we get 5,941, which is our self-employment tax, which goes on our Form 1040, line 56. We do get our business deduction for half of that 5,941, so we're going to have a 2,971 deduction for self-employment tax, and that covers that scenario. Next, let's move on to C. Okay, so on Part C, we have Mrs. Singer's net profit from Schedule C was $12,685, and she received a $110,000 salary from her employer. So that's going to change things a little bit. We're going to go up to line 2, where we report our earnings. So $12,685. We had no special farm profits or anything from Section 1, so we stuck it to $12,685. We again multiply our $12,685 times our 0.9235%, giving us $11,715, which is going to be subject to our tax. So we fill in the blanks here to get us down to our line 6 of $11,715. Oops, little typo there, 11,715. Okay, so now we look at, okay, what we're going to enter on line 8A, 110,000, which is our salary. We add up the lines and we have 110,000. But now if you notice, subtract 8 from 8D from line 7, and if it's less than 0, we enter 0 on this line and go to line 11. So we're not going to take that 12.4% because we've met our max. So remember, the Social Security component only goes up to taxable wages of $106,800. Okay, so at that point, we are going to need to figure out what our self-employment tax is going to be for Medicare. Okay, so for that, we take our line 6, our $11,715, times our 0.029% for the Medicare portion, so that's going to give us $340. Our total tax is $340, and we're going to have 1/2 that business deduction that goes on the front page of our 1040 on line 27 as a deduction for that 1/2 of our business employment tax, which is $170. So our self-employment tax is $340. Our income tax deduction for those taxes is $170. So this is how we, under 3 different scenarios, we calculate the self-employment tax plus our 1/2 business tax deduction from our 1040, and this has to do again with our sole proprietorship and using Schedule C on our 1040.